I want to switch gears now. You wrote an op-ed about a law in California that, quite frankly, I find completely frightening. It requires charities to disclose names and addresses of its donors. AG Brnovich, how is this anything other than an effort to silence speech?
That's exactly what it is. The United States has a long history of anonymous speech and the right to associate with who you want. It's the Bill of Rights, not the Bill of Options or the Bill of Convenience. These are enshrined in our Constitution, these protections on speech and association to protect sometimes unpopular speech. We know that the left has gotten these donors lists and they've used it to intimidate people, to dox them, to troll them, and basically discourage speech. And, you know, in 1964, the United States Supreme Court recognized and done NAACP versus Alabama when you had racists trying to get the list of the NAACP, that when people have those types of lists, they will use it to intimidate people, to scare people, and ultimately force them to not exercise their rights of association and speech. And that's just not America.
And let's be clear, California is an entirely Democratic state. The legislature that put this in place is Democratic. They're not doing this to be equal across the board. They're doing this to silence anybody who may not be completely far left, correct?
That's what we would argue. It was a 22-state coalition I led, and at the end of the day, what the left is trying to do is they're trying to defame and shame people that they disagree with, and it's just not right. It's not American. And I always remind people that, you know, someone may have an unpopular view today, but you may be on the other side of that, and that's what the Constitution is designed to protect. Free expression, free debate. I mean, going back to the original founding of this country, I mean, the Federalist Papers were written anonymously by Jay and Hamilton and Madison. And so when they crafted the Constitution, they understood how important speech was, especially anonymous speech. And it's designed to protect all of us.
Before I let you go, California says this law is necessary to prevent fraud. But having been a lawyer in California, you know that that state has more laws to regulate every single thing in the world that you know that there's another law or 2 or 20 on the books to prevent the quote-unquote fraud of which they are trying to prevent. Is there any chance the Supreme Court allows this overreach to go through, or are they going to shut it down?
I hope not, because it's such an important case for our free speech rights. And just what you alluded to, that in a dissent points this out, there have been no instances of this, any sort of fraud. More than 40 states don't require this, and this is something I'll tell you as an AG you can get through other legal means, including the grand jury or subpoena process. So it's a bogus argument. What has happened, though, in the past in California is that these schedules and these names and thousands of pages of documents have been released. They're subject to hackers, and we know that when those documents are released, people lose their jobs, they lose their livelihoods. We see people getting intimidated. And so this is really about protecting all of us in civil discourse. So when the left talks about wanting civil discourse and exchange of ideas, these types of laws are designed to undermine them, and that's why we have to protect the Constitution.
Arizona Attorney General Mark Brnovich, we know it's early out there. We appreciate you getting up with us. Thank you,
Thanks.
sir.